Alright guys, Scott here from the Mental Metal channel and mentalmetaldetecting.com. This is take 3 of this video because Rocky is in the house and he's not cooperating. He's bumped the camera twice already, so hopefully we'll 4 times the charm. Alright, so hey, we got the Deus II in front of you here. We have the coin setup. We're going to walk through step by step. I kind of did this in the last video, but I made one little change that I want to go over. And I want to give you guys a heads up on some bugs with version 1.10, which is what I have loaded in this Deus II right here. So just before we get started, we'll power it on and just kind of walk through it here. But if you haven't been watching TN Sharpshooter's videos on the bugs he's finding with the new version 1.10, they're not huge bugs. They're just things you need to be aware of if you're in here changing discrimination and stuff like that. I'm not going to go over that stuff. He's already put videos out on that, and they're very good. So I'd recommend going out there and checking those out. Again, it's on TN Sharpshooter's page or channel. It does a real good job of walking through and showing you testing and showing you what's going on with the bugs. The bugs, so for the most part, aren't going to impact you here for this coin setup. It's only when you raise that discrimination up quite a bit and come back out of it and stuff like that. So we're not going to do that today. You should set this up. It should work fine. Just keep in mind that there are minor little bugs going on that you may want to follow and be aware of as you come in and do any kind of updating or changing some of these settings in here. So just be mindful of that. We're going to walk through step by step today how to walk through this coin setup. I kind of did it in the last video very quickly when I was at the site. I want to do a more thorough job of walking you through because I know some of you out there who are new to the Deus II may not have ran my coin setup in the previous version 0.71. Got a lot of great reviews from that. People thought that coin program was amazing. I loved it. I thought it worked great, and everybody that used it said they liked it too. Even some folks in the UK said that it worked well for them. So this should be no different. I think it's going to work pretty good too. With the new version update 1.10, they did a lot of new features and enhancements to the machine. There's a couple things up front we got to talk about and go into, and we're going to go in the option menu first. So if you click your option menu, we're going to go into audio. So it's already up there in audio for me. I'm going to hit select. A couple things I want to show you. Scroll down until you get to audio filter. Audio filter in this video or in this setup is going to be 0. I've not messed around with the filter. I don't think it makes that much of a difference for this setup. You can play around with it if you want. You can change it to as high as it goes, I think is 5. I'm leaving it at 0. I messed around a little bit with it, and it really didn't change too much for this, but I think you're safe at 0. So just wanted to show that to you. One thing also you guys should probably know that if you didn't know, the equalizer by default is off with this update. So if you're using the equalizer and you're thinking it sounds a little funny in your headphones, it's because your equalizer is off. You need to turn it on. So just keep that in mind. I'm not messing around with the equalizer in this video. I just wanted to point that out with the new update. That's one of the features that's not turned on by default. So just letting you know. We're going to go down to audio type. So right now in this program, this setup, I'm not using PWM. What I do like in this setup is the high square option. I don't know what it is about this high square option in coins, but it really, really sounds good in this setup. You know, you might have your own opinion on that, and you might prefer a different audio type. It's up to you. It's not going to hurt or help you either way. I think it's really a personal preference. I think maybe pitch might be a little different. PWM might sound a little bit different, but I think for the coin signals themselves, I think high square or high is the way to go. And that's just my opinion, okay? So if you come back out of there, that's really all you got to worry about in the options menu. Let me double check. Yeah, filter and there is one more thing. Sorry, I forgot. If you go down in, you're out of there now. So keep scrolling down. Go into settings. Hit select. Scroll down until you see FETID. By default, I believe that's now turned off. Or I'm sorry, by default now in the new version 1.10, I believe it's turned on. They've turned it back on with the latest update. So I prefer it being off in this setup. So if it's already off, leave it off. If it happens to be turned on, or if it's not on, leave it off. But if it is on, turn it off for this setup. I think it works better. And it also, from some of their documentation, says you get a faster ID display back at you. So I just turn it off. So I don't want any kind of iron IDs hitting me. Okay, and that's it for the option menu. Now we're going to go into the regular menu. Your discriminations default is 10. Again, we're going off the general program. So I'm going to bump this back down to 6.8 is where I like it. I feel like that's probably the sweet spot for this setup. So I'm going to leave discrimination at 6.8. I'm going to come down and look at my sensitivity. That's 95. We're going to leave that. If you might have to adjust this if you run into some, EMI, things like that, or something's really chatty, you might want to drop it down to like 93, 92. Might quiet it up for you. Now, the next one down is your frequency max. So I've run this a couple different ways, testing the different reactions in my test garden and things like that. So I recommend that you actually bump this down to 24 kilohertz or try it at 14. Either one of them is good. I run mine at 24. All right, that's just, I think it hits harder that way. Full caveat here, this setup, you're going to probably miss some rings. You're going to miss some of those things that are in the junk ranges that may hit harder at 40 kilohertz and, up to 40 kilohertz. So, but I'm looking, or again, we're coin shooting here. So that's what I'm shooting for. And I find that at 14 kilohertz or 24 is your best option for this setup, okay? Keep going down, your iron volume. By default, it's 7. For this setup, I'm leaving it at 7. In previous versions of this setup, I turned it down, and I was finding that I was digging more nails because I could not hear the iron coming through. So now I'm leaving it at 7. I want to hear that iron. I think if you watch some other videos I did on this beta testing of this, I found that if you run into some nail issues, most of the time when you come across a broken signal that has a high tone in it, and if you turn 90 degrees on it and it goes away, it's more than likely a nail. If you come in it and you got a really good tone where it's really hitting solid and you turn one way and it goes away, you're probably going to want to dig that one because it could be a nail or it could be a mass coin. I've dug a few mass coins that way. I walked into a good signal, sounds really good, and then I dig it and it's actually a coin with something else in the hole. All right, so I would leave it at 7. This is a personal preference, but I would leave it at 7 for this. Reactivity, I'm leaving it 2. I may drop it down to 1 if I want some more depth. Again, this is more of your preference. I'm finding that 2 does not impact any depth. I like it at 2 by default. I have bumped it up to 3 before. Audio response, I always leave mine at 4. Some people like to hear them louder, so they'll change it to 5. But I personally like to hear the depth difference in the ground. So if I get a shallow signal, it's usually louder. Deeper signals are usually a little bit fainter, and I just like that. So I'm going to leave it there. And that's pretty much it. Let's go into discrimination. This is where we're going to set up our tone breaks or tone bins. If we go into expert mode, what I like to do here is this program is originally I tried it out at full tones and I liked it. But I also found that I did like it better at 5 tones. I feel like it's a little bit more crispy on the signals. It more distinct, whereas the full tones, it's a little bit more, I would say, fluty. What's another word I'm looking for? Just elongated in some ways. So 5 tones will cut these signals down. They'll sound really good in high square. So I leave it at 5 tones. Now we're going to go into expert. Before we go into expert, let's go through the B caps. I don't even use B caps to keep it off. I have no notch whatsoever. I leave it off, and I leave my silencer at 2. Again, you can change your silencer to whatever you want. Just keep in mind, the more you increase the silencer, the less something is going to happen in this machine. There's something else that has to give. So I like to run as little silencer as I can. Sometimes I'll run it at 0, but for the most part, out of the box, 2 is fine, and that's what I like to do. Tones, we're back to tones again. Hit expert so we can go into these tone breaks. Now in this version, you now have the ability to control the volume, which is super amazing. I was so happy they did this for this new version. This is a game changer, I think, for the Deus. Like for the Nox and all those other machines that Minelab have, you can change the volume of tone breaks and it's killer. And now they've included it in this one too. And I think this is a huge, huge difference it makes now for the days too. So for your first tone break, you're at 6.8. We're not going to mess with that one. We're going to go over to, well, we're going to go over to the third tone break first. And the reason why we're going to go over the third tone break is I'm going to set it up because I can't change the second tone break until I increase the size of the third one. So the third tone break is going to be from 54. I'm trying to see what that says. 51, or we're at 50. So we need to go 51, 52, 53, 54. Yeah, 54, okay. So now, and I'm doing that for a reason, let's go back, come all the way back down to your second tone break. You're on your first one again. Now come to your second one. We need to increase this tone break. The first one's from 0 to 6.8, obviously. And the second tone break is going to be from 6.9 all the way up to, I'm going to say 53, because that's where we want it. So we're going to increase it by using our plus arrow, or plus button. And we're going to increase it to 53. I would not have been able to do this before because it was already set at 53 for the second tone break, so it would not let me do anything higher. So that's why we're changing it now. All right, so we're at 53, and then your third tone break, if you click this button, you're now at your third tone break, which starts at 54. We want to increase that all the way up to 65. All right. And so I'll explain these in a minute, all right? So we're at 65 right now. We're going to go to the next tone break. And now this one's going to be from 66 all the way to 73. Well, we're already at 73, so we need to leave it at 73. And then we're going to go to the next tone break, which should be the last one, and that's going to be anything from 74 all the way up to 99. All right, so let me explain these real quick. So your first tone break, behind the big numbers here, that's your iron tone break or tone bin. We'll call them bins because they're really bins now. Your second one is what I consider your junk range. There's a lot of junk in between your iron bin and your second tone bin. But I wouldn't necessarily do that. I would probably just go as high as 54 because we are seeing nickels hitting at 55. So if you didn't want to drop it as low as 53, you can move it up to like 55. But I would recommend leaving it at 53 because there's not too much in there that you're going to get at 53. So leave it at 53 and it goes all the way up to 65. That is going to be your nickel range. And then in a minute, we're going to change the tone frequencies and we're going to change the volume. Right now, I'm just kind of walking you through what each of these tone bins mean. All right, so the third one is going to be your nickels. All right, so the fourth one here that starts at 66 all the way up to 73 is a small little junk range. And we don't want to hear the junk. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do that here in a second. And then finally, your last range is from 73 on up, 74 all the way up to 99. That's where all the coins are going to be. And there's a little bit of skepticism in there at 73. You're probably going to dig a lot of twist off bottle caps, pull tabs in that range at the lower 70s. You just have to kind of deal with that. You could, if you wanted to, if you want to get rid of some of those pull tabs that you're digging, then you can bump it up to 78, that last, or the third tone bin. Instead of 73, make it 78 all the way up to 99. And that way you're digging a lot less trash. But, again, if you're hoping to hit some of those lower, a penny, the trime, or the flying eagle scent, you need to include that. So it's up to you. If you want to get rid of all some of the more of the junk, then bump it up to 77. If you want, let me just walk through it. If you want to get rid of some of that junk, you can increase your third tone bin to, here I'm actually decreasing it. All right, 66, 65. That's where we want to be for that one. So go to the next tone bin. So if you want to get rid of some of that junk, then you want to increase this up to 77. and that will get rid of some of your junk. But for me, I'm backing it down to 73 because I want the chance of finding those chimes and those flying eagle scents. So that's just something you got to decide what you want to do. Now, if you remember, this is a coin program. You're not going to dig a lot of rings. You may dig some silver rings and so forth, but your gold may not show up in this setup. So you just got to keep that in mind. That's really all I can tell you, all right? I just want to make sure you guys are aware that you're probably going to lose some gold here. But again, it's a coin program. Now let's go through the volume, or not the volume, the tone frequencies. So if we go back to the beginning for our tone bin number 1, you see it's at 6.8, it's at 202. I'm really not going to change that. I'm going to leave it alone. The volume is 7. We can lower that if you want, but I think I was having issues lowering it, so I wanted to keep it at 7 so I can hear some of that iron coming through when I'm trying to determine whether or not it's a nail or something I don't want to dig. It's very helpful if you can hear the iron. So I leave it at 7. If we go to the next one, this tone bin is 717 hertz, and the volume is 10. I'm going to leave the frequency the way it is, but I'm actually going to go over by hitting your middle button to the volume, and I'm actually going to turn this down to 5. That is going to lower what I hear in my headphones or the speaker to a subtle sound, very light noise in the background. When I hit some of these targets, they're not popping in my ear very loud. I can still hear them, but I don't want them to kind of ring out in this setup, because there's going to be really no coins in that bottom, that second tone bin. So I really don't care too much. Now, occasionally, if I get a really good signal, solid signal, I may investigate some of those, and that's why I still want to hear them at volume 5. But it may not be loud enough for you to hear, so you may want to increase that. These are all options to you, your preference. But this is how I have mine set up. All right, so I'm going to go over to the third bin, and this one is my my nickel range. And this is the one where I want to actually ring out pretty loud. So if you look at the volume, it's at 10. We're going to leave it at 10, but I'm going to change my frequency a bit. And I'm going to raise this up to, I'm going to make it 872. It's going to ring pretty loud. I don't have the speaker on, otherwise I'd give you a demo. But the volume is 10, so we're leaving it at 10. So let's go to the next bin. This is the one where I consider another junk range. So right now you have the tone frequency at 901, you have the volume at 10. So I don't want this to ring up like that. So I'm going to change the tone frequency down to something like, I don't know, I'm going to make it like 672. But then I'm also going to change the volume, and I'm going to make the volume a little bit louder than the previous one. I'm going to put it at 6, but I could make it just 5. But I do dig some of the signals in this range because of the chance for a ring or so. So I want to be able to hear it. So I bumped up to 6. It's not going to be really loud, but it'll be enough you can tell really good, hard-hitting signal in that range versus the junk that you'll probably hear as well. So some of those are worth investigating. And then the last range, we have it at 993. I believe that's as high as it goes. Let's check it out. Yep. 993 is as high as your tone frequency can be. It's as high pitch as you can get. It sounds awesome in high square. And the volume is going to be 10. And we're going to leave it at 10. And I'm telling you, this thing is going to be, coins are going to just come out, knock out of the park for you. They're going to like blow your ears off. They're not going to be too loud, but they'll be very, very apparent when you come across a signal. So let's actually, I'll just give you an example here. Get out of this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this off, turn it back on, go back into the coin. Oh, I'm sorry. When you save all this stuff off, let's walk through how to save it too. Got to make sure you understand how to do that. So when you're done making the changes like we just did, go into your options, go down to where it says program, hit select. You want to hit save. You're going to select one of your empty slots, and you're going to pick 17 or whatever, and then you're going to name it, hit validate, and then you'll be done. It's very simple. Just keep following the screen directions as you go into this. I don't want to save this because I already have it set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to power it off. And I'm going to bring it back up so I have the speaker so you can hear it. And we'll just kind of, I'll run through some of the common things that you'll hear with this and the difference. So let's power it up. We'll pick speaker. Coil is activating, that's good. We'll pick speaker. Let's change the volume so you can hear a little bit. All right, so we're at 8 on the speaker. Now I got some stuff laying here that we'll run across. I'm going to change sensitivity a little bit because it's really loud in here, so bear with me 1 second. I'm going to drop this down to like 87. Out in the field, you don't need to do that. You can crank that up to 95. So for instance, if you have a bottle cap, it's in that lower 70 range. Well, actually, you shouldn't hear that because I don't have the right program set up. So I'm not in the coin program. All right, here we go. So let me change the sensitivity down because. All right. So in my coin program, if you go to bottle cap, rusty bottle cap, it's a low tone, a lower tone, and it's broken, but you can still hear it, but it's just not any good. But if you come across a nickel, it's a very distinct, loud sound. War nickel here. That's the one that's goofed up. Here's a war nickel. Very solid. Here is a mercury dime. Listen to that. Oh man, that sounds music to my ears. Quarter. You have a silver quarter, won't sound any different, I don't think. But the numbers will be different. And then you'll have your typical pull tab right here, pull tab. See how it rings lower? And it's kind of broken. But it's not jumping out at you. Here's a piece of foil. I found this. Foil. Hear how low it rings? Very subtle. Here's a twist off bottle cap that might get you. But you hear how it breaks up a little bit? But then it doesn't? This will fool you. I guarantee you'll dig some of these. You can't get around them. They're just, you can't. I don't know how to do it, but you can't. Here is a shotgun stamp, or a slug, or a shotgun, what do you call those things? The base to a shotgun shell. They're gonna sound good too. If you notice it's 76, if you don't want to hear these, you could bump it, that one tone bin up to 77 and it will get rid of those. But you're going to miss stuff. Here's another bottle cap twist off. Again, you're going to dig some of these. You're going to have to. Here is a silver ring, a big fat silver ring. Will you hear it? Yes, you will. You will not lose a silver ring. But will you lose a 14 karat gold wedding band? You might. You might not. It's kind of broken up a little bit. Tungsten rings. Will you get those? Yes, you will. So you'll get some of these rings. You're just not going to get everything. Here's a silver cross. Silver Cross 925. You'll get that. So there's some things you're gonna miss, some things you're gonna gain. A lot of these coins, every one of these coins I have in front of me, I have pennies. Well, we can listen to a penny, wheat penny. Wheat penny sounds great. You got zinc pennies that are gonna sound awful, but probably good too. That was an Indian head, by the way. Flat buttons. Depends on what they're made of and what size they are. I just showed you 2 flat buttons. Here's a real small one. That one's not going to come through as good. So that's just a quick demo of the coin program. You're going to nail all the coins, I guarantee it. Anything from an Indian head, large cent. No, I didn't show you a large cent. Here is a large cent. Hammers it. Here is a KG. You'll get that too. And here is a $50, a walking Liberty, $50. You'll get that. So again, all this stuff you're gonna hit hard on the coin program. Guarantee it. I just want you to be aware that some things you will not get. But for the most part, all the coins that I have in my possession that I've found over the years, included seed dimes, you're gonna get all that stuff. So that's the coin program in a nutshell, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that like button. If you're looking for one of these machines, our friends over at Fort Bedford carries them. They can get them for you if they don't have them. Just reach out to them. You got the information on the screen. You can hit them up on Facebook. You can give them a call. I would go to their website or give them a call directly. Talk to John or Zach, and they'll hook you up. That's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you find a lot of coins with the new Mental Metal coin program in the general program of version 1.10 of the XP Deus II. Good luck out there. We'll see you in another Mental Metal video.